Pour ceux qui aiment la technique poker, probablement, ça sera une des meilleures vidéos de ma chaîne YouTube de tous les temps. Je suis avec Pauli Äyräs, c'est simplement top 3 mondial en heads-up cash game. Il a joué Linus Love, True Taylor, OTB Red Baron. C'est l'un des meilleurs joueurs au monde en cash game online. Ça joue 100-200, 200-400. Quand il y a un adversaire qui veut bien jouer contre lui, la plupart des joueurs ne veulent plus jouer contre lui. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il les rase et il fait plusieurs millions d'euros depuis qu'il joue au poker. C'est au moins 1 million d'euros de profit par an. Pauli Äyräs, c'est tout simplement quelqu'un que je connais depuis 2015. On s'était rencontrés sur des tables de cash game high stakes à l'EPT Malte en marge de l'European Poker Tour. Quelqu'un avec qui je m'entends très bien et qui a accepté de faire cette vidéo pour un tournoi à 102 000 dollars qu'il a joué, où il a fait table finale, un tournoi qui s'est passé il y a quelques semaines sur le .com. Et oui, il y a des tournois online à 102 000 dollars, c'est très rare, c'est arrivé, il me semble, une fois avant ça. C'est peut-être le deuxième de l'histoire ou le troisième, je ne sais plus exactement. Tournoi où il y a 1 775 000 dollars à la gagne. Vous allez pouvoir voir ça maintenant avec les cartes ouvertes. Ça va être incroyable et il nous fait l'honneur de commenter. Alors c'est en anglais évidemment, il est finlandais, donc on commente en anglais. Je vous montre un truc rapide pour pouvoir mettre en français les sous-titres et c'est pas si mal mine de rien. C'est une traduction automatique mais c'est vraiment pas si mal et ça marche pour toutes les vidéos YouTube d'ailleurs. Si vous voulez faire ça chez vous, vous allez sur la roue crantée en bas, bam, vous cliquez sur sous-titres, vous cliquez sur anglais généré automatiquement. Puis vous recliquez sur la roue crantée et là il vous permet de traduire automatiquement et vous choisissez français. Donc on clique une deuxième fois sur roue crantée, bam, français, et là vous avez les sous-titres en français. Évidemment il y a des termes poker que vous comprendrez, enfin peut-être pas en anglais, mais c'est des termes anglais, c'est des termes qu'on utilise en général. N'hésitez pas à aller sur le site youviral.fr, il y a un lexique avec plein de termes poker, la plupart y sont. Enjoy, n'hésitez pas à poser des questions en commentaire et je me ferai un plaisir d'aller vous y répondre pour les différents coups qui vont se passer. Enjoy. I am with Pauli Äyräs, which is a professional poker player from Finland. What's up, bro?
Hello guys, it's Pauli here. Nice to meet everybody.
Pauli is someone I met probably 5 years ago, something like that, in EPT Malta.
Hmm.
5, 6 years.
It's I think it was 2015 and I had something like 100,000 to my name and lost half of it at the Malta EPT, but I
Fuck.
discovered this great guy named Johan.
Yeah, we met in cash game actually in Malta during the EPT 2550. The blinds were running, and Pauli was like the online players who was doing like kind of his first lives. And I
Yeah.
noticed it directly because I was like him at the beginning, and on this point, but the guy was already playing like 20K in front of him or something. And I discovered he was like one of the best player in the world in the online cash game. Actually, probably the best in heads up, at least to me and to many people who recognize it. Phil is Miz on Poker Stars,
Hmm.
and you play 100, 200, like sometimes maybe even there is there any 2-4 sometimes heads up that you've been playing?
I think I played some 200, 400 against True Teller, some really small sessions and somebody else maybe, but there's not really action at 40K. Really occasional stuff.
Yeah. So
Mostly I.
you've played all the best basically,
Hmm.
and yeah, there is many stories I saw. I don't know. You played. There is Linus Love on the table. You've played him. You've played like Truth Teller. You've played who OTB? Did you play?
Yep.
Nice.
But when I rose the ranks like to become like top 3 player or something, the OTP Red Baron was like retired already, so we didn't play that much. Maybe some annual 20K sessions, but he's like retired already, I think.
Okay.
Like most of the old school guys you saw 5 or 10 years ago, there's hardly anybody left. It's just like people win so much and play so many years, and they want to do other stuff with their life.
Yeah. What about you? You still want to continue? How many years are you playing professionally?
Hmm. I think 2014 or 15 I made first 20K or something with poker, and after that I've just been winning and winning, and I think 2017 I won first million, 2018 I had few million, Then 2019 I won like 2 million and... Oh no, actually 2019 I won 3 million, 2018 I won 2 million and...
Of course, we are always speaking about profit.
Yeah.
That's the real point, because my followers sometimes don't know it, but Endon Mob and stuff like that, that give the winnings in millions most of the time on players are not profit at all. This is like the winnings they did in tournaments, but there is not the losing basically. When Pauli speaks about cash game online, he speaks about profit, and this is completely different. Someone was, for example, 10 million of winnings on Endon Mob has probably maybe sometimes 1 million profit, sometimes even less.
And they are staked and everything, and you know they might be broke. As far as I know, there's some people who have like 10 to 20 million or something,
and
in
they are
their
broke.
winnings, and they're broke. Yes.
Exact, and it's not something that doesn't happen often. This is very common. So he's speaking in profit, so making like few millions a year profit. So when we met in Malta playing those 25-50, you were just like a bit shouting or
I was like, I think it was my breakthrough year. I was like raising stakes and shotting and everything, and I had a few setbacks, but at that time I wasn't that good that I became like few years after, but I was like definitely up and coming.
Yeah, you were already like playing good. Maybe we were playing. It was a full ring game, and you are mostly a heads-up player. But now, of course, you adapt in every style. So you are always one of the most loose in every table, and I think we're gonna see it tonight with that final table that we're gonna speak about. You are always one of the most loose player I ever know, and this is really amazing to me, because someone who played that loose has to play really good to be profitable, because if you play that loose, you have to make the right bluff, the right calls with some ranges that are not really strong sometimes. So it requires a lot of discipline and also a lot of technique to manage a style like yours.
Yeah, I think it suits well for me that I played like really the highest stakes and most loose games against most aggressive guys, because I think I've seen the most crazy plays and crazy lines, and I've been like through battles that these other guys at this final table also haven't seen. Like there is not like no new tricks for me, you know. It's hard to bluff me out, and it's like I'm really tough to play against. And with tournament players, they are like they are playing like tighter opponents all the time, so they don't adjust when they play against me, who's like really aggressive guy, or somebody else who's really aggressive. They just like they get used to that sometimes the opponent never bluffs, so they never even think about calling, and I'm bluffing them all the time.
That's true. Let's go into the action, and sometimes maybe I will have some question, or you will even say something about the plays. The good thing is we have the cards up in this video. So this tournament, to resume, to say it quick, is 100K online. So it's very rare that there is that big of a buy-in. It happens a few weeks ago. I think like now we are speaking in June, so I think 2 weeks ago, something like that. This tournament take place, and we can see you opening directly 9-8 off in the low jack.
This is like not a standard play. This is like counting the fact that I'm the biggest stack, and there's spade jump or some ICM things that allows me to put pressure in this situation. If it was standard cash game or at the start of tournament, I would never open this hand.
Of course. So we're gonna talk about a bit about the players after this, but first we're gonna speak about that hand. So you see bet flop, turn you hit the 9 against Sam Greenwood, who is very well known also. And check the turn. River came a king. And
this is like very standard hand. Not much to say about it. Just see that the flop hit the pair on the turn, and we have so many bluffs like queen jack, king jack, and 7-8, whatever. We don't need to bluff all the hands we have.
Yeah. Okay. So we check down and he won. Then Jack 10 suited. David Peters is at the table also. It's not. Is David Peters playing often online, or is it more a live tournament player?
Actually, I'm not so familiar with about the tournament players, but I have definitely seen this guy playing a lot of high stakes tournaments.
Yeah.
In the past year, at least.
So the jack with c-bet, he called. Turn is an ace. Check, check.
Yeah, very standard here. I see bet almost every hand in this flop. Big blind just has like so many chunk hands in his range. We can say bet 100%. Whatever we have, we can see bet against big blind because he has to just fold so often. He can't do anything about it.
For now, you've been. We have 3 in a row, but we had at least 2 hand standard and 1 which is very loose, but very interesting also. And Orpen, I think it's his first name, just shoved Ace King, and Michael Adamo at Kings, and he busted out the first player of the final table, 8th place. So we're gonna talk a bit about the pay jumps. If you remember, I don't think I have the price. Oh yeah, we have the price here. So he just 212k, I guess, or maybe this is now the 7th place, and the first place is $1.7 million. So, talk to me about this 3-bet jam.
Oh, this is just a theory play.
You want I will play? Yeah, I will.
It's not much to say about it. It's just like according to the simulations I have used and the strategy charts that I have used, this is like just a standard play to show 10 jack against.
I think most of the players are not used to it, probably in lower stakes, but it's true that nowadays when we study the charts and we realize that the risk stealing the risk steal are very loose, basically compared to what we've been doing back in the days. This can shock some players, but I like your play.
This is like theory optimally play, but if your opponent doesn't open enough, if he's not loose as he should be, if he's more tight opponent, then shoving 10 jack is not good play. But if you're playing like against the perfect opponent, then going all in with 10 jack is the best play.
Yeah, this is like the GTO versus the exploit. If you play against someone who opens GTO, the game theory optimal, you can shove GTO, and if you play against someone who is like playing more tight than the charts, you have to shove more tight than the chart. The only thing is to get who you're playing against, and of course you're now playing against someone who is playing proper GTO, I guess, or almost very close to it, not maybe too.
Yeah. Most of the guys here are pretty good at pre-flop. Like few years ago, you used to see a lot of more mistakes pre-flop, but now people are like catching up to how they're supposed to play. Mostly people have been just way too tight with 3 bets and openings and about everything, and then there's some players who've been too loose, like maybe some actual recreational players.
What do you think about the fold of Adamo? He folds 7s under the gun.
Let's see.
Yeah, he just folds 7s for he has 23 deep.
Maybe he was factoring in something like he wants to hit a page jump or something.
Yeah,
it's definitely not a good play if there's no ICM involved, meaning page jumps.
David Peters 3-bet and Daniel Schack fold. This tournament is the highest tournament online you've ever played?
I think so. I can't recall any higher.
I think there was only one, by the way, was the same buy-in. It was maybe a few years ago, 100, probably
maybe
100k.
Stars?
Yeah, on Stars, yeah. 100k.
Yeah, I think I might remember that, yes.
So Bonomo doubled up against Greenwood, nothing special to say about it. And those series were very high stakes. No, in during the quarantine time, there were a lot of series on Pauli Poker, especially with minimum buying like 10K. I think you played almost all of them.
Yeah, it was actually a good time to be a high stakes poker player because there was so much action. Like the problem with MTTs is that if you play high stakes, you can only play like when the high stakes MTTs run. So most of the time you don't play anything. So during the guarantee, there was like every other day there was big tournaments, and when there's a lot of action, the best players tend to win a lot. If there's action like once a year or 2 times a year or something like that, it's hard to win as much.
How did you do in those series?
Actually, I did better than I expected. I think I cashed close to 2 million and maybe profited 1.2 or something.
Nice.
It's like I haven't used any tracking software. I don't think Party Poker even allows that. So
yeah, you can just track a posteriori. You can track your own result, downloading your and history on the soft and just importing it in all the manager.
Yeah. But I don't have the exact numbers, but I ended up winning 7 figures at least.
Nice.
But it was like a surprise for me because there was some leaderboards in Party Poker, like I think the purple jacket thing or something, that the guy who wins like most points or something wins it, and I thought I did so well and I didn't even finish top 3 or something, and there was guys who won actually more than me, I think, or at least had more cashes.
Nice. So you defend against Daniel Schack, King Queen off, and flopped 2 pair.
This is like normally I would just call and let the opponent bluff, but I just thought for some reason that this guy would not bluff me so much. I just had a feeling that he's more tight of a guy, and I wanted to start bet myself. And actually I was very surprised he folded the top pair, which happened to be very good play from his part.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know, he probably didn't have a read, maybe he had, but I feel like folding that hand isn't always the best play, but this time it worked out well for him.
Yeah.
Here I limp Jack 3 suited on the small blind, which is a very standard play. You have to limp really a lot from small blind versus big blind, and it comes ace, king, 10. Here's a board that I raise really rarely because we don't have any premium hands. We can't have ace, king, or we can't have like ace, 10 or kings or anything because we just limp called. If we would have ace, king, we would never limp call. We would always put a bet somewhere pre-flop. So here I made a really rare play. I was basically representing queen jack. I will raise queen jack and jack 3 or something like that here, and I was fine to go broke with the hand. I had flush draw, and I got shot. Not much else to say about that hand.
Yeah, the fact is many players nowadays they tend to get it that you have to limp a lot in the small blind because the odds are so good because of the ante and everything. Back in the days, of course, players were like way more tight in the small blind than they tend to be today. You tend to limp like almost any 2 cards against most of the opponents when you are in the small blind and it's fold before you.
Actually, go to the previous hand. He was like a typical mistake of like these guys are not playing as aggressive as they're supposed to play. Here, David Peters, if you can pause the hand.
Yeah.
Here.
So he opened.
Yes, he opened and Linus defends. And Linus is like one of the best cash game wrecks, so he definitely exploits these people a lot. He's like winning winning really a lot more than he's supposed to win because people play too tight and they are not used to playing these aggressive styles of poker. So David Peters checks the flop and he hits a pair on the turn and Linus bets the turn small and David Peters calls. I think the river goes check check when the club hits the river. Here you can pause. So it feels like David Peters should have gone all in here when Linus checks because it's not that easy for him to have bluffs here. Maybe he thought that he will bet ace-5 instead of ace-9, but I think he's just making life really easy for Linus because Linus gonna have a lot of jack X and a lot of like hands like these that are gonna be in a really tough spot when facing a bet here on the river. Basically, I don't think David Peters will win this hand. Never.
Checking back,
yeah. He will never win because if Linus had worse hand than 8-9, I think he would bet himself most of the time. So it's like I would guess that David Peters is capable of bluffing here. He's playing high stakes. He seems to be a good guy, but I feel like maybe he didn't like have the balls here to bet, and it cost him a lot of chips.
Yeah. What about jamming turn? Look at the stack size.
It's hard to say if it's a theoretically optimal play. It can't be a huge mistake because there are so little big blinds left, but calling is fine for me at least.
Okay. But bluffing the river is very important.
This was not the worst mistake, and maybe the GTO can also check it back. But it feels like most of the time these guys don't think all the options they have. Like they see they have a pair and they just check it down or whatever.
Yeah.
This is Daniel Schack is I think a recreational player. He's this play is no good opening 3-7. Actually, it might be because of the ICM pressure, but it feels like it's not the greatest play. He bets the flop, kind of standard, and then he jams the turn. I guess it's just theoretically it seems like a really bad play, but I can see some merit to it. Like it's really hard for David Peters to call if he had like a 7-4 or whatever, only one pair.
Yeah, went. Let's say he went on the aggressive side and ran against straight on the turn and lose against David Peters.
Yeah. Lost. Normally this would be a horrible play to open it pre-flop, but then I noticed like David Peters was a really small stack here, so maybe he wanted to put pressure on him. I don't know. Here it's very standard. I defend a big blind, and this is my board. I have a lot of low cards, so I'm gonna bet every pair I have really small here. I expect the opponent to have a lot of king high, ace high hands. Here on the river I bet really small as well. I represent any pair I could have 4, 3, 6, even deuce or 5. I would play like this, and opponent happened to have a pretty strong hand for this board. Having a pair here is like pretty rare for a button.
Yeah, definitely. You want to make fold SI, King I, stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like your play, like really targeting the range that he mostly have, and as you said, it's very rare that he hit a pair and just like he has to go for it and just call.
Yeah, and David like really thought really big time. I think he was on brink of folding even when he had like a strong hand as ace-3.
Yeah, so your play is even better. Your play, it's amazing.
I don't know why we don't see my hand here.
I don't know, bro. This was like that. They post it like that. Sometimes you don't see the hand.
Mm-hmm.
Probably when the player is tanking a bit, we tend to see the hand, but
yeah. So here comes like a strategy advice when you open from like cutoff or MP or whatever and big blind calls you, and it comes any ace high, king high, jack high, 10 high board, you can almost always see that your whole range in boards like this, because we just have so much better range than the big blind. The big blind has so many junk hands, he's gonna have really hard time to play when we start betting. Okay. Not much to say about that hand.
I think
Yeah,
you would have to call the jam probably.
Yeah, I think it's just a very standard play, open and call when Linus shoves, and it's just like a coin flip who has the better hand. It's like both of us played perfectly, and it's just a very standard hand.
By Linus, who get in 6th place for like probably it was 2,750 or something.
Yep.
Now,
So at this point it will look like really good for me. I'm chip leading, and the toughest opponent of the table has just busted, and everything looks good.
yeah, definitely 5 million chip leader, 325k in the pocket, and playing for 1.7 million, more than 1.7 million.
So here I think I made a big mistake in this hand. The flop is really standard. I have to check a lot, and it goes check, check, check. I think here on the turn Justin could bet, Michael Adamo could bet. They both chose the more passive line. Me as well, I could bet also. Here on the river you can pause. So what happens is that Michael Adamo bets really small, and I got a read that he's most likely bluffing or value betting 8x or 9s or something like that. I had like a really strong feeling like that he would play like this with his weaker value hands, and I felt like if he had a stronger hand he would check or bet bigger or something like that. So I wanted to raise because I could represent ace jack, king jack, queen jack, represent every flush, maybe pocket fives even, and he would have a really tough time calling. But instead I chose the wrong play and chose to call, because I thought that he could be also capable of bluffing here, but I regret really a lot just calling. I think one of the biggest mistakes I made this tournament. Of course, calling is not a huge mistake because you only lose so little and you have opportunity to win big pot, but I just think that raising will benefit so much better me. So what happens is I call and he shows 8-9 and we go to the next pot. Also, Justin Bonomo like instantly folds. I think it's a mistake. Also, these players don't think enough what they should do. You see, he folds like in 1 second.
Yeah.
If I was Justin Bonomo, I would just go all in here, and we both would have folded. So
I know you would do. I know you would do.
The huge mistake people make, and it's a really important lesson for your viewers, is to like at every moment think about every option. Check, bet, raise, everything. It just feels like people just make their opponents like in 1 sec. I mean, they make the decision in 1 second, and usually they don't find the best.
I like a lot what you just said, and I tend to think that in the future we're gonna now and in the future we're gonna see more and more plays in multi-way pots, because people tend to play so straightforward in multi-way pots still nowadays, and there is so many things to do. What do you think about that?
It's a more complex game, and it requires more thinking from everybody.
And probably also because the softwares we use like Pio and everything, they don't include multi-way spots.
Yeah.
Also, so people, since they don't really know what is good, what is not, they tend to play straightforward. Yeah, I think in the future we're gonna see more and more like floating in like multi-way, and like the third people who has nothing just get involved in the end because he has some backdoors and some many things, and just like making some plays on the river also.
So here Michael Adamo opens, I call, he checks the flop, which is fine. He's supposed to check a lot, and now he makes a really small raise. And I felt like he might have a hand like this. but he just gives me straight odds. I don't think his raise sizing is really good because it makes a profitable call for me with ace-7. I call because even when I know he can have kings, I still have to call. It's like cheap for me to hit ace or hit a flush draw or whatever. Here comes the biggest mistake of the hand. It's like not like a huge mistake, but it's still something theory would not suggest going all in. I have a overpair and got shot, and I thought he might fold something. He happens to have jacks, and we go to next hand. Like up till the turn, everything was played well from me, but at the turn, I didn't have to go all in necessarily. I could just check and get a free river. But on the flop raise, he made it so small that I had just like a huge odds to hit a like backdoor flush or ace. So I can never fold here. This is like a really bad play from Michael Adamo. He has a king 4 at 5-5-7. Opponent c-bets ace king. He's supposed to c-bet every hand almost that he has. But if you want to raise as Michael Adamo, you can like pause here.
Yeah.
You can pause when he raises.
Oh, sorry.
So he raises like really super small. Justin Bonomo is supposed to call like from king jack with a backdoor flush or everything. He's just giving like so huge odds to opponent. And if he wanted to bluff here, he should choose hand like I think like something with a 6, because 6 can open us straight draws on turn. If 8 or 4 games we can shove the turn, or he could use hand like something with 8. It's just like there's so many hands like 8-9 or 6-10 or even king 6 or whatever, even ace 6. He has like 100 hands he could check raise with here. So choosing like such a weak hand as king 4, which like no turn is good for him. If he hits a king, he can be even dominated here. It's just like it's a bad play. And now he didn't hit anything. He didn't get a straight draw or flush draw or anything, so he has to just check this down, and I think he gave some free chips to Justin Bonomo here.
Yeah.
It's always when you check raise the flop, you need to have some hand that can turn equity. If he doesn't have already a draw, like 8-6 has already a draw, it's fine, but you could have some hand that can turn a draw at the turn. Example like king 6. You have many cards to hit a straight draw on the turn, and then you can bet more.
Justin won the super flip for eliminating Daniel Schack in 5th place. Daniel Schack get reward by $325,000, and now you guys are 4-ended, 4 left in the super high roller ball for 487k secured. You guys are playing for 1.7 million, and Justin is in the end against Michael Adamo. You familiar with someone better than the other guys left? Do you know someone better than
These guys?
Yeah, in those guys.
Actually, I don't know about lot about these guys, but I always prefer like the highest cash game players. I always have more trouble against the highest heads up players or highest stakes cash game players. It just seems like they are so much more aware about the stuff that can happen, and they put you in a lot more tough spots than these tournament guys have been putting me in.
Okay.
It's like these guys are definitely the top players at MTTs most likely, but it feels like even they make so many mistakes that there's like a lot of room for improvements.
Yeah.
So this hand, actually, I was like yelling like David Peters should call the river here. I was like 100% sure Michael Adamo was gonna bluff this hand on the river, what happens? It goes check, check, check on the turn. Michael Adamo bets small, and David Peters calls, and river is fourth diamond check, and Adamo goes all in, and David Peter folds. So basically here Adamo is representing a hand like ace queen with a diamond. But he's gonna have so many hands like ace 7, ace 8, 10 jack, queen jack. He could even have like a king queen that could play like this. If he's like a smart guy, he could like value bet king on the turn, and when the diamond hits on the river, he can turn it into a bluff to get a hand like a king jack fold, or even a smaller flush. So maybe David Peters, he gave it a thought, but he chose the passive like a line and fold, and I think it's a difference between winners and losers in poker, or being the very best or not the very best is like the very best just find these calls in these spots, and the guys who like are decent but not the best, they usually fold.
And we just lose you on this flip.
Yeah, it's a very standard.
Nothing special. 20 blind, ace king falls, and sadly we lose Pauli on the fourth place for almost $500,000. Yeah, you've been telling you told me that you made 2 million, like probably 1 million benefits in those series, like in couple of weeks, let's say, or 3 weeks, something like that. It's already a very, very, very big win. Yeah, I probably in the future of in those series you will always be there. You've been always there, but you will continue to play those high stakes MTT, of course.
Yeah, most likely it's gave me a great action, and I enjoyed playing them mostly, and high stakes poker is something I like. Problem with the cash games is that once you become like enough good, nobody will play you, so then you have to do something other.
Exact. So that's why you tend to go to MTT. So this heads up will be very long. Probably let's see some ends. Maybe I don't have selected. I should maybe have selected some time code. But yeah, we can randomly check some ends. But I think going for 30 minutes of heads up will not be worth it on YouTube. But I wanted to talk a bit more with you about live MTTs also, because I don't know if you often, I don't see you often on the live circuit on those big events, but maybe you will play more in 2021.
Yeah, it depends. It's like I'm used to online and used to do so many things, and it seems like live is just bit boring for me. Only one table, and people tank so much. You know, they it's like 1 minute per decision, and they fake tank, and Hollywood so much. It's not like an enjoyable environment for me. But
now with the shot clock, it's a bit better for those things.
yeah, but what I see, if there's a 30 seconds shot clock, then everybody just will stall 30 seconds, and it's just like environment I don't enjoy that much. But I've been at the biggest EPTs for past years, and I think I have some success there as well.
That's true. And what about Vegas? Will I see you in Vegas?
I enjoy the place. The games are good, but there's like these tax things. You know, you have to pay tax for your tournament winnings, so I prefer cash games there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will definitely see me at Vegas playing Omaha and Texas and everything.
Yeah. I will probably see you also in clubs. We will go in some clubs.
Maybe not that much, because when I grow older, I don't enjoy the club thing. No, not like I used to do. No, I just like to be at the computer or do some sports or whatever. And
you're such an healthy guy now. No, me too. I'm more into. I'm in both things, you know. Both things. There is a time for everything.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what you think about this play. I noticed this play. I was thinking on the turn, if we are Adamo, so it's 3-bet the pre-flop ace 10, and I was thinking on the turn we barely beat anything, but I don't know. I want your opinion on this one.
So here is a 3-bet and a standard c-bet. I think this board you have to c-bet all of your hands, really small.
Yeah.
You bet everything you have in your range, and Justin Bonomo hits a set, which is really good. Here on the turn, it's kind of interesting. I think you have to also bet a lot of small sizes and maybe check sometimes. You like a lot of ace 10 plus, ace jack, ace queen, ace king. You can like bet, and then you got like slow play hands like ace 8 or aces, or maybe even king jack or whatever. You can mix all sorts of stuff here. It's like because we're gonna have a lot of times we're gonna have queen jack and king
we
queen.
want to check a lot.
Yeah, those hands we want to check, and when we check, the opponent can put pressure us when he has like 4-5 or 5s or maybe like 10-8. He can start bluffing when we check. So we have to also check some good hands so the opponent can't bluff us so much. But okay, here's a ace 10, and it's like a pretty standard to continue betting and try to get the stack in by the river. So I expect a small bet here, which he does. Actually, this is like a kind of
it's big.
It's kind of a big relative to the stacks.
The stack size.
But it's still I don't consider it really. It's whatever.
And
but
when Justin
like
jam,
it's like a biggest mistake comes here when Justin jams, because a lot of times here when you play against good people, they're gonna have hands like 8-9 or king 5 or jack 5. A lot of times like king deuce that 3-bet the flop, and he's planning to bet, and now when Justin goes all in, Michael Adamo is gonna fold all his bluffs. So it doesn't like benefit him to like go all in. There's no draws on the board or anything like that. He doesn't need to protect his hand at all. It just happened that he had ace 10, so it didn't matter. But what if he had something like king 8 or 8-9 or whatever? If he just calls, he gonna win against ace 10 anyways, because ace 10 is gonna go always all in on the river.
Yeah, he feels about like
it didn't
a queen.
matter, but oftentimes it's huge mistake to not let your opponent bluff, especially when there's no draws on the table. You have no reason to go all in with hand like a trees.
And what about the call? Can we sometimes just fold because we know that no one is shoving worse than ace 10 in this spot?
He could like panic show ace 3 or queen 10 or something. It's like the machine, the GTO machine would never fold. It's so strong hand. But if you play like lower stakes tournaments, or always lower stakes is always gonna have people tighter.
Yeah.
So when you play against tighter people, it's okay to make tight folds. I mean, folds like this. So if you have a good read about your opponent that he's never gonna show anything worse, then it's a good fold. But I don't hate the call. I hate more the raise here. The raise is just gonna have so many drawbacks.
I understand what you mean about his raise, and probably his thinking is like my opponent is mostly in value, like 90% of the time plus. Is like almost ever bluffing this sizing on this texture or in this spot, and I unblock all the hands that call me. And I just like don't want a king, a jack, or a queen on the river that block the action, or
this
maybe
is
a
like,
10.
This is like a term we use in Finland. It's like a panic show.
Yeah.
When you've not been in a position like this many times, you're not sure what to do. You have like a hand that is not nuts, but is close to nuts, and opponent is bet, and you feel like he has good hand. You just panic show like this. So I don't think there was not so much thought put into this show.
Okay. And what about ace 10 is like me. I'm just counting a bit the combos like queen 10. We talk about queen 10, but queen 10 there is only one combo like of queen 10 suited. I don't think he's ever calling pre-flop queen 10 off, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, he might, whatever. But also you have to realize that he gets
such
really
a good price.
odds.
Yeah. But King Jack is 16 combo also. King Jack is 16 combo and sets of 3. But yeah, I'm like me as a good nit. I'm bet folding the turn.
Yeah, I don't hate you at all, and you would have like saved a lot of money here bet folding,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I'm not using this sizing. I'm bet folding probably 130 or checking sometimes. I like the check a
Yeah.
lot. I like the check a lot. Maybe not with this combo, but I like the fact that we don't have so much protection, and the PSB,
Yeah.
the pot size, the stack size are already big compared to the pot, and I want my opponent to bluff some 10x now, and yeah, I'm repping way too much betting again on the turn. So yeah, in my thinking, I'm like checking a lot here or betting small and just jamming the river
Yeah.
for value.
Checking a lot is definitely not a bad play. It's like can be a really good exploitative play. Let's like think that opponent had like a 10-9 here, or ace-9 or ace-8, and he falls to your bet, and now you give him like a chance to hit a 2-pair and stack him on the river.
Yeah.
But if you play like really strong opponents that know everything, you need to bet your value hands, because you are gonna have so many bluffs here. If you don't bet your value hands, then always when you bet you're gonna have just bluff, so opponent can start calling you with whatever.
Yeah, completely. I like your thinking. So river came, doesn't change anything, and Bonomo won one of the biggest spot of the heads up match. Yeah, let's check out this one, which will be like probably jam and call. Oh, 20 bigs, he decided to flat.
I don't have the charge here. I think it's close decision. It's not a mistake. I don't think it's like really close. Whatever you call or shove, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, because of course the NT are completely are lower than when we are playing full ring and just button open and we are big blind. Yeah. So there is like yeah.
Here, Bonomo bets the turn. He's gonna check the river, I'm sure here. Now, okay, he's gonna bet small. This is a bit weird. If I was Adamo, I would really think a lot about going all in here.
I can imagine. You
Because
you go jam for sure.
yeah, because it puts just a really
Yeah.
tough spot Bonomo.
And you have nice blockers. Well, I think yeah.
It's
It's
okay.
it's
Yeah.
okay.
But
Yeah.
the problem is like it's really hard for you to have only 8 high here. So usually when it's hard for you to have bluff, it's good to bluff.
Yeah, true. And
Yeah.
yeah, you unblock the ace size stuff.
Always when your opponent is having hard time to figure out what could you bluff with, it's usually a good spot to bluff with.
That's true.
There's many spots that it's easy to find bluffs to your opponents, but in the spots where it's hard to find bluffs, it's a good spot to bluff.
I didn't know I could do that. Nice, YouTube is so nice. I can unplug and just size the video as I want. This is amazing on my video.
But if we talk about the theory standpoint, maybe it's better to do this play with pocket 5s than pocket 8s, because pocket 8s block his bluff hands a lot.
Yeah. Now yeah, it blocks his bluff hands also. Yeah.
Yep. So I would give it a thought to go all in, but it's fine to also fold.
But then when I do that, we cannot go somewhere. Let's go somewhere in that.
This is mistake, I think, here.
Let me check. So c-bet, check raise.
Yeah, usually the machine likes to. This is a board where you see bet a lot, but the hand like ace, 8, 7 is not the best, because if you get check raised, it's not really good spot for you, and blocking the 7. If you block 7 here and your opponent check raises you, then he's mostly gonna have good hands, because 7s are his primary bluffs, and you block his primary bluffs. So here Adamo like check raises the flop and then just give up. It's a horrible play. It's like a really bad play. You're supposed to check raise or bet the turn with such strong hand like this, and if you by miracle check to the river, then you for sure only have to bet, because you have a spades blocker and you only jack high in this board. The opponent is gonna have a lot of ace highs or whatever hands, and he's gonna have a hard time calling you. I think it's a pretty weak play by Adamo.
Yeah.
And he made life really easy for the 8-7 hand. 8-7 shouldn't have such an easy time in this situation.
let's check this one out. So limp, raise, call.
I think here both players can do a lot of stuff. Bonomo can bet or check, and Michael Adamo can bet or check. It's not a big difference. This like 10-6 is good hand here because you can get 7 or 3 or spade that will open your draw and you can continue betting. Always hands like this that can open draws are good. Now he just needs to check because nothing opened for him, and he has not really good cards. Here on the river, it's tempting for Adamo to start representing a check X hand, but he needs a heart in his hand to bluff here. But Bonomo didn't give him opportunity. I think Bonomo made a mistake here, not letting opponent bluff this river. I think for sure he would have thought about bluffing here.
Yeah. Let's check some hands. Okay, this will be standard.
Seems like a setup.
Yeah, setup. It goes post flop, whatever. Okay, let's see the jack. So the heads up was so long. It's something. Yeah, it was like really big heads up. Like. Okay, check. We have top pair. If we are Michael, Justin check.
Here is everything is fine. Betting is, I think, the preferred play with the queen 9 here. Justin Bonomo can call or can raise. I prefer calling and letting opponent bet. But mix of everything is fine. He gets check raised, then comes turn check. I think if Bonomo bets here, Adamo has to fold always because queen 9 with no hearts is really weak holding here against the check raise. On a board like this, he could have whatever. He could have 10-8, 2 pair. He could have a ace hard.
Nice
hard.
fold. Yeah, nice fold.
Yeah, and he could have a king queen with a heart, and all those hands are better called than the queen 9. So he played it good.
Nice.
Here you can maybe something interesting happens. What did the preflop say?
The jack queen? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a limp and a raise probably. 4x and a call.
Okay, now Adamo is supposed to bet almost all his hands, likely all of his hands, his whole range like this. And he does it, and now Bonomo is okay to call. I like the call because he has the heart. If comes hard, Adamo gonna have the check and Bonomo can steal the pot. And also the price is so good that he's getting good price to hit a pair and win the pot. So now Adamo checks and Bonomo, I think I prefer to bet and start representing king or a 3, but this is also fine. Adamo gonna check the river, and now Bonomo has to bet for sure because he only has 9 high, and it's not so often he has only 9 high here, so he's gonna try to steal the pot.
What sizing you do?
The same sizing I would use with king or 3. I don't think it matters that much if you bet half pot or third pot or
Okay.
3/4. I don't think it matters that much. So he makes, I think, a small bet, right?
1/3. Yeah, less than 1/3 approximately.
Yeah. Here, I don't know if the hand is good to call with Adamo, but he makes a really good call, and here you have to give a lot of respect for the guy because most of your viewers and most of players not playing that high, they think, okay, I have a queen high here, I'm just gonna fold instantly, but he really gave it a thought and he won a big pot, and it's like makes a huge difference here. He got a really great price and he thought about it and he made a great play by calling.
Yeah.
So like for your viewers, it's really important to always use all the time to think about all the possibilities. Here you need to think about even raising. Like most of the people is just gonna instantly fall, but you need to think maybe I could go all in and represent like kings or aces and maybe I could call and win against 9 high. So it's like a difference between the best players and the only good players is like thinking about every option in every situation.
The good player tend to play automatic, and the best player tend to think about every possibilities in every
Yes,
situation.
exactly. Yes, yes, like that. And it's like a big mistake for a lot of players. They play so many tables, they have no time to think these spots through, and they are gonna never succeed like the players who think a lot more.
Yeah, for me, I encourage to multi-table, but for really small stakes like micro limit and everything, because you need to put the volume on first to get a lot of spots in your head and everything to get used to poker in general. But then I agree with you when you play higher and higher, then the fact is that you don't have to multi-table
Yeah,
that much compared to before, and
and
you yeah.
and it's like it's not a shame to play mistakes forever. But if your goal is to like one day become a high stakes player, one of the best, then you need to for sure reduce your tables and start thinking more about your actions. But if you're just fine playing mid stakes and you win with a certain win rate there, it's just fine to multi-table. But by multi-tabling mid stakes, I don't think nobody will ever like became the best.
Yeah, yeah, just making money and yeah, and being
It's
happy
grinding.
with yeah. Well, how long? This is a question I wanted to ask you. How long did you stay in those mid stakes cash games like NL 100, NL 50, NL 200? How long did you? Did,
For me, the hardest part about my career is not to win the millions, but it was like to win the first $1,000 and first 10,000 and first $100,000 was like really hard for me because I started out playing NL2 and NL5, and I played like hundreds of thousands of hands, and I spent like few years even at those stakes, and I just played so many hands. I played like 10 hours a day and multi-tabled and everything. I just couldn't like win. I like played break even and barely win, but only when I like started to think more about the hands and think out of tables and reduce the amount of tables, then I became more successful.
it's a good advice. I like your advice. Yeah, it's
But for
something
sure,
that people don't say too much about the fact that you start thinking more about the hands and just reduce the table and I think you've been grinding like everyone, like a lot of tables when you were NL2, NL5,
mm,
NL10, and stuff like that. And this is
yeah,
important, right? But
and even at NL100, even at those,
NL100, of course, 12.
yeah,
I think you were multi-tabling 12. How many tables you were playing?
I think I played 6 or something like that. And but that's like crazy amount of tables. I think you should play 1 or 2 even only if you want to really think about everything and really make progress.
And
But yeah,
from
it's
what
like
moment? Yeah, from what stakes you start playing one or two table and just change the way you were playing poker?
maybe when I was like I had really hard time breaking into the 5K game, so I was beating 1K and 2K. I think around that time when I was playing 1K and 2K, I started to really change my approach big
Yeah.
time. Okay, first time was at the lower stakes. I had made some breakthroughs about the way I think about the game. But then second time at NL1K and like 2K. And it's also a really important aspect not to make snap decisions. Even when I know what I'm gonna do, I'm nowadays I'm just tanking, so I don't give like timing reads to my opponents. Because a lot of players they snap bet, check, do everything snap. But one time when they think about the decision on the turn, on the flop or whatever, then like it exposes them.
That's a really good advice.
Hmm.
Oh,
And I
it
think
even happened to me.
it's becoming more frequent thing at the high stakes that people are like thinking using time back more just so they don't get exposed. Even when people know what they're gonna do on the flop or the turn or the river, they still tank a lot because one hand in 1,000 hands, you're gonna have a hard decision. And now, if you always used to snap do everything and now you tank, then you are getting exposed.
That's true.
Here we have, I think, c-bet flop. Michael Adamo calls. I'm not sure how much I like the play here by Justin Bonomo. If you want to bluff here, you can have hand like a Jack-X, 10X, or any hand with a club. Now he chose like the worst hand that he can have that doesn't have any blockers or he can't improve at all. And he's getting called. I don't necessarily hate the play so much because Adamo is gonna fold a lot. But I think you just can wait for a better spot. Okay, and that ends the tournament.
And Justin won it with this jam 20x, right? Pre-flop.
Yeah.
And won the tournament for 1.7 million. We can see the result on this video. We have Justin Bonomo first place, Michael Adamo second place, David Peters third place, my guy Pauli Äyräs fourth place with almost $500,000. Daniel Schack fifth place, sixth place, Linus Love, aka Linus Liger, that I played like maybe one time in 100, 200 live games in Barcelona and just in tournaments, and it was something that, of course, when you see those names, those screen names online, you just like, one day I will play with them. Of course, I will not play with him on the online table, any kind of sort, because I will get, of course, crushed on the full ring table live with 20 hands an hour and some players that I can beat, and yeah, it's completely different, and I feel like we have more the chance in those situations. Sam Greenwood, 7th place, open, that we see a lot, very nice guy in the High Rollers live events that I played a few times also. Made the 9th place, 8th place. It was a bubble, so he hit 0. We didn't realize it, but yeah, he busted for $0. Almendin, 9th place. Pauli, congrats for your career, not only for that result, but for all your career, because it's already amazing, and I think it's just the beginning, or maybe the middle, but whatever, it's just the beginning, kind of.
Thank you, man. I hope it's only middle, but it's like a troubling that high stakes is, I think, dying a bit because all the sites are removing the higher stakes tables. You know, Party Poker is doing a really good job with these MTTs, but they closed the high stakes heads up and ring games, so it's like every year it's becoming more hard and hard to win big amounts because the sites just don't offer the stakes they used to offer previously.
You will crush the tournaments, bro.
Thank you, man. And I also wish you succeed really greatly in this YouTube thing and everything. You're a great guy.
Thank you, bro. Pauli, I wish you the best and see you in the next stop. Next year, probably, because I think this year we are fucked with all what is happening for live tournaments. But next year, for sure, some like 25k, for example, this 25k that should happen in Barcelona. I guess you will play it, right?
Yeah, I like Barcelona a lot. I think it's the best TPT stop there is.
Definitely. So we'll meet there. I'll play it also. So ciao.
Yeah, ciao.
Ciao.